What kind of results have you seen since we started working together?
It's become one of our top channels for creating qualified leads. One of the things that your team did, which I really appreciate, is not just come and ask us like, hey, who should we target and what should we do, and then just go set up the campaigns.
I mean, you could get to a point where you're spending $1 million a month and an ad agency is charging you $150K a month to manage it.
All over my LinkedIn feed. And
All right, we are here with Agnayee Datta, who is the Director of Marketing at Vicarious, which is a cybersecurity company. Agnayee's been working with us for what, about a year now? Maybe a little less?
a little less than a year, yeah.
A little less than a year now. We've been running their paid media across multiple different geographies and working with multiple different partners as well. But Agnayee, thank you for jumping on.
Thanks so much, Alex. I'm happy to chat.
Love it. So I just have a few questions for you, and we'll go in order and we'll knock them out quickly. But I want to know first, what was the paid media situation before you brought on Understory at Vicarious, and how was that going for you?
Yeah, before we brought on Understory, it was very typical startup, right? We're like a high growth startup, very small team, lean team. And I was the only demand gen person, but I was also running the marketing team. So obviously I had too much on my plate. I couldn't give paid media campaigns the kind of time and effort that it needs for it to really work. And obviously we wanted to see good ROI if we're making that kind of investment as a small team and company. So we needed someone with the expertise to execute perfectly and then monitor the execution, not just set and forget, which I honestly didn't have the time to look into and monitor the campaigns and make those little tweaks that we had to. So from everything from setting up, tracking, monitoring all the campaigns, continuously running experiments, tweaking it, shutting down stuff when it's not working, all of that was not where it needed to be. And so we met you guys and, thought we needed somebody to be just on top of execution, like a super strategic partner, but really on top of execution.
Love that. And what made you decide us in particular?
To be completely honest, I think it was the social proof. That's how I found you guys. Y'all were all over my LinkedIn feed, and it's always good to see other customers, our stage actually, like other startups that are growing, talk highly of you guys. And, we've been burnt in the past, like many others, by ad agencies and, other kinds of services. So just having that social proof was number one. And I think number two is the pricing model, I would say, because you guys don't do the percentage of spend,
Yep.
which I think can be exploitative as you start growing.
Totally. That's a big thing for us. We always thought about that with pricing. When you do a flat retainer, it's really easy, especially if you're someone in your position, right? Where you have a budget that's allocated to you, typically on an annual basis, sometimes on a biannual or quarterly basis, to know exactly what you're going to spend on the agency and then ramp your spend on your ads accordingly.
Yes.
But yeah, I appreciate you saying that because that's something we were very intentional about when we developed our pricing model.
Yeah.
Because you could get to a point where you're spending $1 million a month and an ad agency is charging you $150K a month to manage it, which is just out of control.
That was definitely one of the important things. And like you said, it was like predictable in the budgeting that we did. So it worked better for us. Yeah.
Love that. So can you talk to me a little bit about what the actual process looked like when we get everything set up for you, and what did we actually end up building for you?
Sure, we did a lot in a short period of time. I think the first low-hanging fruits were, we had audience expansion turned on by default on some of our campaigns that we weren't aware of. And so it was bleeding money in various places. Also, we were getting some spam, from that lookalike and expansion. So I think the first big thing was we suddenly saw a full stop to that. So there was like no spam, no overspending on this random, LinkedIn's default audience network and stuff. Those were some of the first few things, and all the tracking, the conversion tracking, the forms, all of that. I think that was like the first cleanup and setup. And from there on, we kind of started analyzing. One of the things that your team did, which I really appreciate, is not just come and ask us like, hey, who should we target and what should we do, and then just go set up the campaigns. That was not it. They were part of the strategic process. So Ivars on your team has been great in like helping us strategically too. He was like, send me the list of closed won accounts in your region, and then we'll build out a lookalike audience. We'll, try and like maximize our chances by really segmenting the audience, right? Not just going based off of LinkedIn's targeting and things like that. So they were really involved in this strategic part of things. And then the other thing I'll mention is we're a cybersecurity company. So obviously the market is very hard. The target audience is very hard to reach. So the messaging is important. The kind of creatives you use is important. And they were part of that as well. And then we also are global. So we ran campaigns in UK, we ran campaigns in Germany. And again, Ivars from your team, who was managing everything, was able to give us very nuanced recommendations on these markets and insights into these markets, which were like different, from market compared to the US. We set up various campaigns in various different regions. And today, we're continuing to run those campaigns and grow those campaigns. So we obviously saw initial success and then started expanding and building out. And today we're running very targeted, segmented campaigns in the markets that work best for us.
So the first step was creating those efficiencies and turning off the things that were generating spam and just wasting spend for you. And then from there, it was localized campaigns and developing that nuance over time and continuing to iterate and improve upon it.
Yes, exactly. You summed it up perfectly.
Perfect. And what kind of results have you seen since we started working together?
I would like place this caveat that we have a pretty long sales cycle, and we started working with Understory in March of 2025. Since then, and I was just building out end of year reports, so these numbers are like very fresh in my head. It's become one of our top channels for creating qualified leads. And then the other interesting thing is it's also one of the stronger channels in terms of deal progression, wherein we see leads go into POCs, and though that's from POC, we have a much higher chance of winning those deals. And we have actually just recently won a deal from our LinkedIn ads, which was great in one of our strongest markets, very good deal size. And we're hoping to continue replicating that. But I would say for now, it looks promising in terms of qualified lead gen, also deal progression.
Yeah, I love that you said that because a lot of the clients that we work with do have large ACVs and long deal cycles. And so the fact that you've been so consistent with everything that we've done together over the last, I guess, call it 10 months, it just shows that over time these deals do end up closing and they end up being large enterprise deals, which is awesome.
Exactly. And it's like a combination of, again, kudos to Ivars, who's helped us build the brand first. So we have campaigns where you're doing brand awareness and then building lead gen on top of it. So the whole strategic angle of it takes time. It's not like cybersecurity buyers are just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna,
You got to build their trust. Cybersecurity buyers tend to be very skeptical, as we all know.
I know it's such a pain, but yeah.
And my last question for you is, who would you recommend us to and why?
I would say startups, again, high growth startups, lean teams like myself, seed stage, maybe they don't have enough budget for paid media, but beyond that, Series A, Series B companies like ourselves, where we don't have enough hands to, execute well, I would recommend it to them. Most importantly, because I think companies our stage will sometimes say, okay, we're going to experiment with paid media with, say, a smaller budget. We're going to prove ROI. We're going to show ROI and then grow. But then they try to do it themselves and they don't do it the right way. And so the results are not going to be what you want it to be. So I just think when you do it the first time, trust an expert, give it to somebody who knows how to execute it the right way. Give yourself the best chances of winning. Companies like our state, you can't hire a full-time resource yet, maybe, or you don't want to, so just hire experts who can help you execute it the right way.
I love that insight. I think a lot of people do it the way you just said, where they get into it and they don't do it the right way and they feel like it's a total waste of money, it's not working for them. I can't say the name, but we audited an account yesterday where they were spending $100,000 a month and not a single person in their ICP was ever seeing any of their ads. So they were literally burning $100,000 every single month for the last 6 months. So, and then of course, what's their opinion? Their opinion is going to be ads don't work. We have no business running ads. It's not the right fit. The second we take a look, it's just one toggle that they needed to change to get everything to actually start working for them. So yeah, great insight. Well, Agnayee, I appreciate it. Thank you for your partnership and thank you for working with us for all this time, and let's continue to crush it together.
Awesome. Thanks, Alex.